Hey guys, good morning. We are back. Be ready. We have an amazing guest today. We have Glenn Lovelace. So he'll be on in 30 seconds. Get ready. Good morning, guys. Welcome back again to another Solar Empowerment Live. Today we have an awesome guest, Glenn Lovelace. Good morning. How are you, Glenn, today? Thank you for
Doing
being with
doing
us.
great. It's good to be here, Brenda. Thanks.
Appreciate it. I hope you guys are ready. He'll be taking stage, so let's get ready. Stage is yours.
All right, guys. I'm new to the StreamYard scene. I usually work on Zoom, so if you guys do have questions, definitely hit up the comments section, um, and I'll see them as they come in. So I met Joe through a friend of mine named Tyler, and Tyler and I are friends because of the gym. And probably 2 years ago, I went to Tyler and I'm like, hey, one of my clients is looking for a farm boy who knows how to work and he doesn't want to go to school, but he wants to make six figures. He's like, well, my nephew might be perfect. And that's how I met Tyler. So, um, anyways, I'm excited to be here. I know it's Monday. It's cold here in Utah where I'm at. I was talking with Brenda. I think they're in Sacramento area and love the area too. I spent some time in Cameron Park probably 20 years ago, which is really weird to say. But why are you guys here today? I was given somewhat of a topic to get started. You guys are most of the attendees are probably in solar. Um, I if I were doing door to door sales or direct sales like you, solar would definitely be the industry I would chase. So I can definitely see why you guys are doing solar. Um, Anytime there's the possibility or the potential to make good money, it also is going to be hard. Um, I think that when I'm looking at obstacles and challenges in life, it's typically the higher highs offer lower lows. So if you guys are feeling that way, then I think you're in a good spot for today. I'll address some topics, and then again, if you have questions, let me know. So my background started in sales in door to door back in 2006. Before that, I had done a little bit of door to door when I was a kid, trying to wash cars and mow lawns and just make money when there really wasn't a lot of opportunities for 10 to 15-year-old kids. And I noticed really quick that rejection was hard. Having people tell you no was hard. And I've cultivated all kinds of self trainings like you guys probably have in order to kind of keep your head in the game. I would say the moment I started investing in myself personally, that's when things really started to change and go the next level. I have been coaching since 2007, and I've had multiple jobs along with my coaching career. But I actually taught eBay, Amazon, Shopify, stores online, and we focused on drop shipping and affiliate marketing. Moved into white label, private label, ordering from China. And then that's kind of evolved into fitness coaching, business coaching, life coaching, marriage coaching. And I have a whole business around that. So it's pretty incredible where sales can take you, I suppose, is what I would leave you with as far as my experiences go. So today, trying to meet you guys where you're at is tricky because I love working one on one so that we can really dive in. And so, what I'm going to share today is going to be general ideas, and none of this is going to work for you unless you actually get to work. The topic that Joe gave me was the idea around ultimatums. And the ultimatum or the decision to make is whether to keep grinding and going and figure things out, or to quit and do something different. Ultimatums are a tricky deal. I run in a lot of circles with women, actually, and these women are typically doing a lot of work on their personal lives, their businesses, and eventually, if they are married, they give their spouse an ultimatum. And an ultimatum's more of like a conditional demand, where it's like, hey, if you don't do this, then here's the consequence. And so, the word ultimatum can be kind of tricky, even though that's kind of the topic for today. And so, really, what you guys have in front of you is a decision to make. I remember probably 12 years ago, I was kind of in this like 10-year cycle, and one of my prayers for 10 years was, God, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I was working 3 jobs at the time. Um, I was working at UPS throwing boxes from like 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then those shifts would start earlier and earlier as we got closer to Christmas. And then I was doing my coaching job full time. And then at night, I was running around, and on the weekends with a pager, I was running fire and EMS. That was kind of my dream job. And I have this ongoing prayer, or this ongoing thought and decision, where it's like, man, I don't know how much longer I can do 3 jobs and all these side hustles. I've got a family, and I've got goals. Like, I've got things I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm just kind of saving, but it's not going as fast as I want it to go. And I'm, you know, buying toys and going on vacation, but it's I just don't have enough time and energy to even enjoy the lifestyle I've worked so hard to create. Part of the reason I was in that mess was because I had some financial setbacks with a home, and it turned into a lawsuit. I had a setback with another career where I got laid off for a year. And so it just felt like I was starting over a couple of times. So I'm having this prayer. I'm walking out the door. This was like 2 in the morning on this particular situation. And I hit this landing on my stairs, and I've kind of said goodbye to my kids, tucked them in, whatever they need to do, just checked on them. And I'm just having a moment, and it hits me. And I give credit to God for this answer, but the thought that came to me was, Glenn, not making a choice is your choice. And so, me not deciding to go all in and to do what I know I wanted to do, or what needed to be done, was me literally making a choice not to do it. And it hit me really strong. I didn't make any decisions for about 6 months as far as career goes, but I just felt like I finally had the air and the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. So I present that to you guys today because of what Joe said in a text to me a couple weeks ago. He said a lot of you guys maybe have this idea or this question of whether I should keep going and grinding and figure this out, or if you've got this idea of maybe I should be looking at something else. And a divided mind is a very challenging place to be. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but the devil owns the fence. It's kind of an interesting thought, where whether you believe in the devil or not, it's irrelevant. But the point is if you don't make a decision, you're kind of suffering. And if you make the decision to get to work, whatever your work is, there's going to be suffering, there's going to be discomfort, there's going to be lessons that you need to treat as obstacles. There's a great book called The Obstacle is the Way, and you don't even need to read the book. Like, it literally, the title is so good that it tells you exactly what you guys need to do. So I have a son, he's 15, and I only make him go to school for like 2 or 3 classes a day. And I guess I have 2 sons that are doing this right now. And then they come home and they work on little side hustle businesses. They help me with projects, but we're trying to do things a little bit differently because I feel like the school system is interesting right now. And one of the things he did a couple months ago, he's like, "Hey, Dad, I found this dirt bike I want to buy, and I'm going to flip it." And I said, "Well, how much money do you need?" He's like, "I only need 1,000, and I can pay for the rest." So I'm like, "Okay." And we became 50-50 partners. He ended up getting a four-wheeler and a dirt bike for that price. And he ended up selling the four-wheeler after fixing it, and he made 75% of his money back. Then he bought a second four-wheeler. And the second four-wheeler had a few issues. He just bought a plow for it last night that's way too big for it. And I will give him little pointers, but he's kind of sticking it to dad and not necessarily listening. And I share this with you guys because all of you probably have leaders and mentors and coaches that are telling you things over and over and over again, and it's up to you to learn the lesson. So for my son, I'm telling him, hey, I've got a friend. We can take the four-wheeler over to him, and he can tell you what these noises are and what to do. So we take it over. It ended up not being a big deal, but we got expert advice for my son. With the plow, I'm like, well, you got a really good deal on this. You could sell it and get the right one. And I don't know what he's going to do, but the point is he's got this beginner's fire that is fun as a dad to watch because he's buying things on Facebook Marketplace, buying things on local classifieds, and selling them for a profit, whether it's Xboxes and all kinds of stuff. And that's kind of how I got my start in college, was selling online. And I was driving all over from Utah to California picking things up, and it was tons of fun. Um, when you guys have someone new to the office, I wonder if, like I experienced, those new guys tended to kind of have that beginner's fire. They tended to maybe even have like beginner's luck. Maybe you guys have experienced that too, where you're like, man, this is so exciting. Like my son, he's got uh, a garage and a trailer full of toys that he gets to ride while he works on them, cleans them up, learns how to make little repairs, and then he sells them for a profit. And he's running into some issues that are tricky. And as a 15-year-old, when you've got $3,000 into these projects, like that's all the money in the world to him. And I think you guys can probably relate. Whatever your situation is, it feels big, it feels heavy. So why is there this beginner's fire? There's a thought I want to leave with you guys, and that's probably because they have high energy, high vibrations. They don't know what they don't know yet. And what's going to happen to them, just like it's probably happened to you, is you're going to run into obstacles. You're going to run into the objections. You're going to run into those valleys, those lulls, those voids, whatever you want to call it, where you're in between sales, and that energy and those doubts are starting to come in. And here's where you're at. You're at that deciding point whether you need to buckle down and figure out what's wrong, or be consistent with what works for you, or quit. I know Joe and everybody else in here who's probably a manager, a supervisor, or an owner. They they probably want the wrong people off the bus. I will be honest. If you're kind of toxic and you're low energy and you're bringing people down and you're distracting them, I've done hundreds of trainings with business owners where it's like, hey, we got to get the wrong people off the bus. And the wrong people and the right people is literally just a matter of you guys deciding you're going to be the right person for the job. You're going to look at the mission statement, the core values. You're going to show up and you're going to really dive in and decide that working on yourself and your own personal development inside of what training is available to you is what's going to help you push through this. So, my son with the four wheeler, or me with these careers, or you guys with your current issues with your employment and your jobs, we tend to take these situations as signs that maybe I'm on the wrong track. Maybe this is a sign that I should be doing something different. The mind is a really tricky thing, because if you start asking questions, your mind will automatically go to work to find answers for that question. So if you're asking the wrong questions, it depending on your goal, it's your mind's literally going to find all the reasons and signs why you're in the wrong career and why you're in the wrong job. Stepping away from your career right now, imagine if every time you got in an argument with your spouse that you thought you were in the wrong marriage. Imagine if every time you had a tricky situation at work, you're thinking, man, am I in the wrong career? Imagine if I'm trying to think of other examples, but the spouse is the big one. I guess your house too. Maybe you don't like your neighbors or where you live, and then you go to the next neighborhood and you have that same line of thinking where your mind has now patterned to look for problems with your neighborhood or your boss or your career or your wife or your spouse. You're constantly going to be looking to make changes. What you are doing when you play this game, you are literally avoiding the work that you need to do. You are avoiding what you can do to change the situation. So I think that's kind of why gals have called me the ultimatum coach, is because in that particular situation, these gals who are making progress, their husband ends up becoming the problem for them. And then they're looking to change. And it's like, look, don't avoid the work you need to do to change your marriage or to change yourself personally. Use that obstacle in front of you as the opportunity to start growing and changing yourself. Sometimes you just changing yourself in your job, your career, your marriage, your neighborhood, whatever it is the only factor that needs to change. There are jobs that are toxic and that you shouldn't be there. There are marriages that are a problem. What I'm trying to tell or invite you to do is, yes, consider the quitting or the divorce or the move, but also be asking and fighting fairly and questioning yourself, what can I do to change? In the context of what you guys do in your profession, Joe and any others who are in leadership position, I would encourage you to go to them for reviews on your performance, for suggestions on your career and your job. If it's outside of that and it's personal development, I'm a great option for you. I have tons of free resources. I am not the only coach and mentor out there. There's thousands of them. But aligning with somebody that you can put yourself in a position where a mirror is held up and they're like, look, I understand what you're saying, but here's what you can do about it. When we avoid the work that we're supposed to do, we suffer longer. So for example, if you guys are hitting obstacles with solar, whether that's with the city and planning, whether that's with your installment companies, I mean, your first line of problems is probably the potential customer and them trying to understand how good of an option this is for them. If you don't dissect your approach and all the things and learn how to read people, then you're always going to have a problem reading people, and this situation's never going to change for you. So I heard this weekend a gal talking about Nike and why Nike is so powerful. Their slogan, "Just do it." I think she said, "Is do it as powerful as just do it?" And it was kind of like a podcast short clip on Instagram or something. And the interviewer was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, what do you think just means?" She's like, "The key here, the word just is where Nike really hit this one." I don't know what you guys think um, when you hear the word just, but when I hear the word just, I think there are no other options. Just do it. So, what I'm encouraging you to do today is just do your freaking work, whatever it is. Um, Maybe you're unhealthy spiritually, mentally, physically. Imagine if you were feeling good mentally, physically, and spiritually, what the dividends would be in your career. Do you think you could handle people better and easier? Okay. Imagine if your marriage was solid or more solid or you were making progress. I love the idea that progress creates happiness, because at the end of the day, sometimes I really have to find where I made progress. And sometimes the progress is I just did those few things, even though the results didn't quite come yet. I heard another interview recently where we'll say he was in college and he had a friend, and his friend's dad was a billionaire with a B, and he had a chance to maybe interact and engage with him at home, and he said, hey, what's one thing that you could tell me that would help me going from starting to a million to a billion? And the answer was just one word. The guy said, apply. So, I mean, you can kind of take that for what it's worth. But right now, today, we are in a webinar. Whether you hear this live or recorded, it feels good to go to these things. You can get a lot of motivation, you can get a lot of insight, but until you actually do the work and apply it, all the books, all the podcasts, all the things that you're doing to try to figure this out are really not going to hit the road and start producing results in your life. The best analogy for me is thinking about a trainer at the gym. If you guys have ever been to a gym, you've probably seen a trainer that is not in shape or does not look like the end result that you would like. And because of that, that particular trainer is probably not going to get hired. Now, maybe you get to know their story. Maybe they've already lost 200 pounds or something crazy. Then that kind of changes things. But you can know everything about weight loss and still be very unhealthy. You can know everything about how to build muscle and never be making progress. You can know a lot about sales and objections, and you could have had some um, awards and accolades and big paychecks. But if you're not moving forward and applying and seeing the obstacles you have in front of you, then you're going to struggle. Again, I apologize. This is kind of a general training today, and I'm going to get into a couple things that are takeaways for you guys. But the big point I'm trying to help you with is make a decision. Don't say a prayer for 10 years hoping that the answers are going to come. Take some time and be thoughtful and really decide what you need to do. But what if you decided to be more all in than you are now with figuring out what these obstacles are? If you change careers later, what you learn about yourself over the next, say, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to take with you forever, whether it's your own businesses or future careers. Um, a really powerful example is with marriage. And if people are thinking about getting divorced or changing their circumstance in order to feel like they're making progress, a thought is a lot of people won't even consider divorce. And when I challenge them on, hey, what does divorce look like for you? They're like, nah, it's not even an option for me. And I'm like, well, what if it was? So for you guys, what if quitting was an option? I'm sure Joe and other managers are like, dude, take it easy on this quitting thing. We don't want people to quit. But if you entertain what your option is, you can make a really firm decision that that's not what you want. So if that's not what you want, then it empowers you to decide, what am I going to do in this marriage? What am I going to do in this career path? Because I don't like where I'm at. And you're the only one that can change you. And that's awesome. That's the good news. So, if you guys are having a problem with your day to day performance, it's 100% you're avoiding the work you need to be doing. Now, there's a term in what I do with coaching called buffering, in the book called, oh, what's it called? Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, and the devil calls it drifting. But essentially, what you're doing is you're suppressing, you're avoiding, you're resisting, and you're reacting to your situations. If you're avoiding the work you need to be doing, you're actually creating a double problem. So, for example, if I'm avoiding the gym, but every time I'm upset, sad, trying to figure things out, I go to Buffalo Wild Wings and I go ham on some wings, and I'm doing that a couple times a week, I'm not only not facing my health problem, but I'm adding calories to it. No joke, it makes me think of I had a sales director who traveled the country with pest control as a client, and he's the sales professional. And every time he went to his training calls out in the field, he would stop at a gas station, get a big gulp and a king size Reese's, and he wondered why he put 60 pounds on in the summer. For some reason, there was something in his thought pattern that made him not as confident as he needed to be. And if I remember right, his thought was something like, I wonder if they'll see through me as not being the sales expert. He's literally the sales director for a full-blown summer sales company. Like, they've put him in charge as the ultimate expert over sales and training, and this thought crept into his head, and he was starting to look for evidence to make it real that people were doubting him. None of that was real. Because he had these anxious feelings, he was trying to suppress and avoid and react to these by the extra calories, and the extra calories became a problem. So not only did he not deal with the sales and mental issue, he was adding another problem onto it. And that's what buffering looks like. That's what drifting looks like. Um, if men are struggling in their marriage and intimacy, men go to pornography pretty quick. So not only do they make that situation weird, they're also not working on the marriage at home. If you are kick ass at work and you're having tons of success there, but things at home don't feel that way, we tend to avoid going home and staying at work because it feels good. We can crush it at work, but we're not crushing it at home. So then what do? We avoid going home. We avoid doing the work at home because of the confrontation. That divorce is going to cost you half of everything. Now, there's a lot more reasons to stay in a marriage or not stay in a marriage than just financial, but you guys are trying to build a legacy, whatever that means for you. You're trying to build something bigger. And if you're creating more problems for yourself because of these outlying situations, it's going to cost you in the long run. So, one of the things I do in personalized coaching is take a look at where you're wasting time and energy and what work you're avoiding. So, definitely take a look and be mindful, watch your day-to-day activities and start seeing those feelings when you're avoiding the work you need to be doing. I think we're trying to end this thing right at 8:30 Pacific time. If Joe could give me a heads up, that would be good. Um, so, one of the number one ways that you guys can build your business, well, there's a bunch of ways for you to build your business inside of the business that Joe and others have for you. And one of those is through referrals. So, one of the ways that you can find success with referrals is plant the seed early that when you fix somebody's problems and you go above and beyond to help them with A, B, and C, D, E, and F, whatever it is, that they've got to help you, that you're going to come back and ask for some referrals. And if you will play that referral game, you guys, like, if you're not getting referrals, like, you're doing it wrong. Um, with the way Instagram works and other social media platforms, you guys should be building your own personal brand inside of whatever you're doing. Um, you could become the solar expert. You could literally run ads to yourself. So I know all this is new, and anything that is new is overwhelming or frustrating. Um, but there's more. There's all kinds of ways that you guys can be adding value and not feel like you're only stuck on the doors every day, all day long. So treat this like a business. I call it entrepreneurship. I'm not the originator on that idea, but the benefit of being an entrepreneur is you get all the benefits of what another company has provided, but you can still run a business inside of it. You can still act like a business owner. You can still be a leader and build your value inside of it where you're irreplaceable. This is going to give you opportunities outside of solar. If you're the go-to guy or gal that always gets stuff done and moves through these challenges, you're going to have more opportunities outside of solar. I think a thought that I would have and did have on the doors is, man, do I have to knock doors forever? That's like saying, how do I lose 200 pounds in the next 2 months? Like, it's just not possible for our brain to figure out that many solutions to the problem in a month or two. I'm going to leave you with one more thought here too. When you guys, I had a business owner a couple years ago. He had this thought, and he was avoiding going to work on time. He had 40 employees. He ran HVAC, and his goal when he started with me was to go from, I think, 2.7, 3.7 to 10 million. I can't remember the number. And we did it inside of 2 years. It was pretty exciting. But one of the thought patterns that we unraveled was he was avoiding and anxious about work in the morning. And crazy enough, it was this one thought: I wonder what's going to go wrong today. So, literally, no matter what he's doing all day long, his brain is finding evidence for what's going wrong with being a business owner. He could literally hit a red light or get cut off because I would be with him, and it would be like the end of the world. Like, all day long. He's putting out this energy of, I wonder what's going to go wrong today. Now, with you guys, I don't know what your thought patterns are on the doors, with your callbacks, with all of these things, but if you're putting off that energy, I'm telling you right now, and I'm sure Joe has too, that this is going to impact how people perceive you and the energy they feel around you. Now, in closing, there's a process called the model. The model has an acronym, CTFAR, and you have a thought.
Hey guys, looks like we are having some issues with audio. Can you hear us, Glenn? Sounds
Oh
like
man,
we. Oh, there you
we
go.
lost
So
audio.
sorry.
What did you guys hear last? And I'll try to put a bow on this. Was there anything that you heard, Brenda,
Sorry.
last?
It was just wrapping up, but I lost the audio after that when you were giving
Are we
us.
out of the meeting now?
We are still live,
Oh,
guys.
we're still live.
We're
Okay.
just wrapping up. Thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it. That was just amazing. Thank you
Yes.
guys for watching. And if you guys want to connect with Glenn's, reach out. Did you? We lost the audio. I don't know if you
Yeah,
provided. You didn't provide the information. Give us our
I didn't
all your
I didn't
contact, and
provide
so
any
we can
info, but
reach.
if you guys go to glennlovelace.com, you can also go to Instagram, it's your wingman, and message me there. You can text me at 385-269-8011. Putting a bow on this, you guys make a decision to be all in, and then start looking at your problems as obstacles, as opportunities to get help with, whether that's with Joe or podcasts or books. But if you don't apply the work, you're going to have a really hard time, and you're going to be frustrated, and you're constantly going to be wondering, is it time to quit and do something else? So would love to help you guys. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you for being with us today, guys. Today is our last live of the year. Reach out to us. Let us know who would like to be you guys would like to see in the live, and maybe we can come back next year. Just let us know. And thank you for watching, and have an amazing week and holidays. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you, Glenn.